Hello, thank you for joining. We'll be starting shortly. We'll just start the recording and then we should be ready to go. Thank you for joining us today. It's July 3rd. I'm Brendusha Kevorkian, your host, and focus on Smart Virtual Agent for today's SMAX Practitioner Forum with Alan and Ming as presenters. Alan, please go to the next slide. So just a quick note about the sessions, and then we'll move to the topic of Smart Virtual Agent with an introduction, a live demo, and then we'll go into the details on how to manage Virtual Agent. Next slide, please. So these sessions provide guidance on SMAX out-of-the-box processes, the integrations, and overall tool capabilities. And what we're trying to achieve here is the common understanding of the principles and terminology used in SMAX, help you get most from the suite, and then as well share use cases and best practices. So with that, I'm turning this over to Alan, who's gonna take it from here and give us more details about Smart Virtual Agent.
Okay, thank you, Brendusha. So today's session is focusing on the Smart Virtual Agent, and basically as Brendusha mentioned, so the major agenda for this session is two parts. So first part, I'm going to introduce the major functionality in the virtual agent feature. So, and the second part is our major part is how to enable virtual agent and how to manage it, the content in the virtual agent. So let's start with the virtual agent feature. So I listed several major things here. And I'm going to through a live demo to show all of them. So I quickly, go through all of them. So first, I will have the name of the virtual agent and the greeting words, basic all of the basic configuration for the virtual agent, and how to manage one of the intent as hot news or FAQ, and the major function for the virtual agent is it can talk to the end user in two modes, conversation mode and phone-based mode. And also I will show you if the after the virtual agent submit a ticket, and we will dump all of the chat logs or histories into this ticket. And the other functionalities, utilities, like a user can restart the conversation with a very easy click. And also a user can choose to chat to the live agent if the users find the virtual agent cannot help them. And also finally, the end user can always create a standard support ticket. Okay, with this, let me switch to the live demo. So this is one of my demo instance, and I am logging with as an end user to the service portal. So when I click the virtual agent, choose to talk to the agent. So first, I can see some greeting words from the virtual agent, and virtual agent out of the box has a name. You might have heard it. Its name is SMAX. So, and sample greeting words here. So basically, the name of the virtual agent and also these kind of the greeting words can be configured. And the first part of the from the Max is we get something we call the hot news, or frequent asked questions. Basically, anything the administrator want to highlight to the user can be configured and rendered in the first blocks of from the virtual agent. So next thing I want to mention is a little things. It is for the security notification. It is a typical things occur in the chat tools. And by the way, this sentence can also be configured. And later I can switch to the in the second part I can switch to the admin interface. I can show you how to configure all of them. So next I'm going to talk to the virtual agent, Max. So I'm going to show them the typical demo scenario. I think David has did this before. So basically, I want to talk to the Max after I let the Max help me to update my personal information. So I'm talking to Max. Hey Max. I moved my house last week. So the Max, suggest me with one of the try to understand my message and suggest me with one of the intent. Max learned before chatting with me. So as this is exactly the things I want to do, so I click yes, and Max answered me about some follow-up questions. Let me put some answers to my and this is the how to contact method basically, and the new this is the new phone number. So after the Max collect all of the information and Max help me to submit a ticket into the help desk to help me to update my information. And as this request is automatic fulfilled, kind of automatic fulfilled request, so I get the final the solution through Max. The Max also show me the final result. Personal contact information has been updated. This is the result. And basically this is the the conversation mode between the Max and the user. And the next I want to show you the another mode, the form based. So so suppose I want to ask Max another question, how to printer. So again, Max, suggest another intent to me. So this is, by the way, this is one of the KM article, and after I choose this article, the Max, show the HTML form to me. Instead of back and forth, conversation, it is, just a form-based, the answer. And this is the two modes of the conversation between the Max and the user. And next, I want to show you the chat with a live agent feature. You can see we have a action bar here at the bottom of the the chatting box here. So if I click the chat with the live agent, well, I connect to my demo instance from home, so maybe they refresh my window. Yeah, by the way, I just click the restart the conversation, so I click restart a new session. Let's say if I shoot new questions to Max, I want to check my personal information. So again, Max, suggests me with the same intent of update my contact information, but I don't want to do this because I just did it, right? So if I click no, and Max, basically Max did, idle search to try to, search more information to help me. But unfortunately, I don't think, anything here. So again, I choose to chat with the live agent. So Max asked me to, to fill something, before Max, hand over my request to live agent. So yeah, again, I think the description is enough here. I want to check my personal information. After I click the submit, so Max, have me to connect to support agent. So I need to switch to the admin side. So if I switch to the request module, I want to check my personal information. So you can see a live chat icon is here. So by the way, this is my second browser as I log into the system as a suite admin. So I can see this is a live chat request from the end user Alan. So I should message to Alan. So if I switch back to my end user, site, I can see the message. Hello. So basically, the live chat has been, set up. So from the administrator side, if I click the full request detail, I can, switch or open the detail request information here. What I want to show you is in the discussion section, we dump all of the, the chat history between the Max and the user, together with this request. So as a live agent, so I can review what happened, before the live chat begin. So I think this is also some, helpful functionality here. Let me switch back to the text to see. Well, I think we still have one great standard support ticket. This is something very simple here. We put besides the restart conversation and chat to with the live agent button, we still have a create a standard support request. That means if Max cannot help you and you don't want to spend some time to wait to a live agent to help you, you can click the create a standard request to submit standard request. This is by the way, this is existing or Alexa features here. We just put all of the things together. Yeah, with this, I think from the functionality perspective, I think I show all of the things. And the next, I want to move on and switch to the second part. That means how to configure or how to manage the virtual agent to make the virtual agent behavior like Max in the customer's instance. So again, I listed several topics for this part. So first, I'm going to introduce the the case concepts in the virtual agent. solutions. They are intent or intention and user options. So and after this, I will take the the update personal information as an example to show you how to configure this particular intent into the virtual agent. So then let's begin with the concept of the intent and the user option. So basically, the intent is intent is the purpose of the intention. The user want to talk to the chatbot or the virtual agent. When they meet some IT related difficulty or issues, and they log into the service portal and they chat with the virtual agent, and the purpose of their this chat activities. So we try to abstract this kind of things as intent. And regarding to the user option is you can think this is the same thing we defined in the catalog offering. So basically, the user option is some details, questions or informations we want or the virtual agent want to collect from the user. After the user choose one of the particular the intent, the virtual agent will through a series of questions based on the user options. I can show you these two things in later demos. All right, so this diagram show you basically like I have the demo I did minutes ago. So this message is coming from the end user, and after that, the virtual agent suggests one of the. This is exactly one of the intent. And after the user clicked yes, so the virtual agent will ask several follow-up questions, and all of these questions are defined by the user options. And this diagram is a screenshot is for the intent list. I can show you later. And the next thing is first of all, you need to enable virtual agent after you upgrade SMA to the main release, or you just install a new deploy a new SMA main release or main version. So basically, you need to do two steps here. The first step is to launch the three virtual agent related pods, because by out of the box we don't get these three pods running. So you need to execute these three commands to scale up these three pods to get them with a one replica here. And the second step is you need to we have a dedicated feature toggle here, and you need to through this REST API client to turn on this feature toggle. And by the way, in the August release, we will move this to our feature setting to have a an easy way to turn on this feature toggle. And this diagram describes like I mentioned that we have a three port here. Yeah, basically This the diagram is you know, the major component and how this component, you know, working with the other, you know, major services within the SMAX. So we have the main console that is where, you know, the tenant admin to you know, configure the intent, user option, and other basic configurations for virtual agent. And we also have an NAU engine. You know, basically this is a pod. We, you know, wrap up the Rasa open source library named Rasa NAU. And we also have a bot engine. Basically, this is a component to manage the dialogue flow or dialogue management component. And the virtual agent, as I have shown you, the virtual agent, you know, we expose the virtual agent to the end user through the service portal, and we put all of the virtual agent related information into the database, and through the runtime to, you know, to read and write the data. And also, in my previous demo, through the virtual agent, user can also do a idle search as a fallback. So next is the how to configure the virtual agent name and its you know, avatar and greeting words and other things. With this, I can switch to the live demo. Let me switch to the agent. We have a dedicated menu item under the administration section named the virtual agent setting, and this will lead to the, you know, the virtual agent setting page. So we have 3 tabs here, and the configurations page is where you can configure the name and the avatar for the virtual agent. So here you can change its name to you know, whatever you like here. And also you can remove this out of this default avatar and change to other images. And for the greeting words, it's the same. You can configure it to anything else you like. And we have a preview section to let you to, you know, you have a review to your, you know, changes or updates. And next we have 2 important configurations here. The first one is a number of intent suggestion attempts. That means is, you know, how many rounds the virtual agent can you know, suggest a different intent to the end user. Our idea here is, you know, if the you know, most of the time maybe the first, you know, you know, suggestion coming from the virtual agent might not the you know, the right answer to the user's question, and maybe the second or the third one is the right answer. So here we can allow the, you know, admin to define how many rounds the virtual agent can, you know, give the suggestions to the end user. With this, we hope we can, you know, increase the overall, you know, the intent matching accuracy for the virtual agent. So after, you know, let's say here I configured 2, so that means after you know, the virtual agent suggests first and the second intent. If the user still thinks the intent is not related to his question, after twice tap change, so virtual agent will do a final idle search. This is this configuration, and the next one is the intent matching threshold. So basically here this is the confidence parameter within the the machine learning area. So here you can put a value from between 0 and 1. So the larger means you set the bar higher. So if you don't have much data here, I suggest you put it a little bit small, like here I put 0.3. If you have a much data, like 100 of intent in your system, so you can configure it here with a relatively larger number. And the last configuration is security tips. So like maybe here I can still switch to the service portal. So the security tips is here. So you can configure it to other things. And by the way, if you clear this configuration, this little black box will disappear. All right. So I think let me switch back to the deck. Yeah, basically this is a lot for things for the general configuration. So next I'm going to take this change personal detail intent as an example to show you how to how to make or create intent from scratch. So this screenshot is how this intent works in one of the chat session. So I put this to the left diagram is coming from the admin side, and the diagram on the right hand side is coming from the end user side. I put these two screenshots into one deck to help you to understand the which configuration does what. Let me switch back to the admin side. Let's take the change personal detail intent as an example. So if we anyway, so if we drill down into one of the particular intent, so first we can give this intent a name and the confirmation message. So here you can provide more user-friendly messages here. This message will show to the end user after the first time when the intent. So take this intent as an example. So the intent confirmation message is this message. Would you like me to update your contact information, right? And the next part is the training sentence. So training sentence is within this section. So the administrator can provide a list of the sample sentence here, basically this kind of a sample sentence is, the typical words or typical sentence, when the end user want with this intention in their mind, what kind of sentence they will say. Yeah, basically we can collect this kind of sentence as a sample sentence or training sentence and put them here to let the virtual agent to learn from this kind of information. So if we have a series of sample sentences here, and during the real-time chatting time, so like this example, when the end user say, I recently moved my house, and based on the predefined message from the end user to this intent, and render this intent to the end user. So basically, this is how the training sentence works here. All right, let's move on to the it's the intent, right? So after the training sentence, we have a action section here, and first I want to introduce the parameter table here. You can see for this in particular intent, we have a 4 parameters here, and each of them will be rendered as a follow-up questions after the user choose this intent. So the first follow-up question is, why did you move? And we can see basically this is the first parameters we define here, and the questions, why did you move, can be configured in this column, virtual agent stance. So you can click this link to pop up this window. By the way, you can see we have we can configure the multiple prompt here, and the virtual agent will randomly choose one of them to ask this question to make it more human-like. This is by the way, this is a little functionality here. And by the way, the last column is for the answer option type. And within this drop-down list, we list all of the user options, basically all of the user options you defined in the user option tab. I will show you the detail later on. But I want to mention here is this column is let you to choose which user options you will use to define this parameter. And the sysany is one of the built-in user options here. Basically, the sysany meaning the freestyle messages. Yeah, just like user can put anything into this message box. This is the sysany in the user interface. All right, yeah, again I put these 2 screenshots in this one page to show you the this is the first question, and this is the second question. It's a contact method. So you can see this parameter has been rendered as a option chosen with the button click. And I can show you in the this is for the contact method, and here you can configure the questions, and we reference the contact method use option for this parameter. And next page, I will show you the detail for this contact method, meaning how we can define this use option, right? Contact method. Let's switch to the use option. So we have a contact method use option defined here. If we open this use options, use option is relatively, simple compared to intent. So we have a use option name, and we have a option list. I would call this list. So for each option, we have a display name. Basically, this name will be rendered as the name of the button, right? We have two buttons named the email and the phone. Email and the phone, right? This is the display name. And for each option, we have value defined here. So I will talk more about this value. So for the value for each option, let's again take the contact method as an example. So for email, we give its value as a preferred contact method email, and this value basically is coming from the we have as you know, so after eventually this kind of a value will be sent to the SMAX to create a request, right? So we have a dedicated field in the request table named contact method. So we need to find out the values for these options, from basically from the the request table. So we can find out the preferred contact method field from the request, and because this field reference to one of the built-in enum within the SMAX, and we need to find out this particular enum of the list from the SMAX system, and we can see we have two options in this list. So we need to exactly copy these two values to here, and this is very important. If we have some difference here, double changes will not work here. So this part is very important. But for the display name, you can give any words here, even for the localization names in other language, I mean. But this part you cannot translate it to other language, I mean, for the value. All right, in my deck I prepared, we are talking about the use option. I prepared another kind of use options you can define it for the virtual agent. That means, besides the contact method is one of the fields in the request table, and we can also define the other another type of the use option in virtual agent is it's coming from the real use option of the catalog offering. Let's take this use option as an example, the PC type. As the PC type is use option in the request a new PC offering. So we need to make sure values for each options in our the user option in virtual agent is exactly same with the user options used in the catalog offering. Because this is a little bit different with the content method in the request table. So I also created put a dedicated deck page here. I mean, in the very end of my deck. All right, this is about the content method user option. I hope you can know the trick here. So in our example intent, I mean the changing personal detail here, we have as I mentioned, we have a full parameters here. So I covered the first two, and the next two is the home location and the office number. So these two reference to system any user option type, meaning they can accept any messages here. Again, you can put yeah, this is an example to show you here. Or just code the snippet here. So again, from the end user side. So after the user answers all of these questions, right? Oh, by the way, you can see in this example, for this kind of not required parameter or optional parameters, we have we have a functionality allow the end user to skip this question. This is basically why this history changing history here. So after the virtual agent collects all of the information, the virtual agent can submit a ticket into the system, and the action script is basically control how the virtual agent can submit this kind of request, right? And next I will explain the details here. So I would say first of all, the first important configuration within the action JSON code snippet I list here is offering ID. So basically, virtual agent will submit a request against one of the catalog offering, right? So in our this example, changing personal detail, we will let the virtual agent to submit a request against this catalog offering. So I put the catalog offering ID here, and within these actions JSON code, we have parameters section, and the within the parameter section, first of all, as I mentioned, you need first to define the offering ID and a series of user options used in this intent, and also other parameters like the contact method and the descriptions. Basically, the user option is coming from the offering, and the other parameters is coming from the request. This is their difference. So for the user options, each yield option has a name and a value pairs. So for the name, it should coming from the in the offering the yield option tabs in the offering. You can find the name here. Again, this name should be exactly same as the name defined in the for this yield option. And for the value, it should be the parameters you defined under the action script. Please pay attention. Here is case sensitive. And in the next diagram or screenshot I list here is for the other kind of parameters. Let's say for the preferred contact method, again, this key is the same name you can find from the request. I mean the preferred contact method, and its value is coming from the parameters you defined here. Yeah, a lot of detail here, right? But fortunately, I think we finished out this complex part. And for the next part is, as I mentioned, so we have another second mode of the intent. So meaning the entity link mode. This mode is relatively simple one. Let me switch to our live demo here. So this is the action mode switch, widget here. Basically, this is a conversation mode, right? We have a complex, action script here, and a list of parameters you need to define for the conversation mode. But if you switch to the entity link mode, you only need to attach an existing entity to this intent. It could be an article or could be an offering. Right, in the previous demo, I show you one of the article connect to the printer, right? It's render the article with the form-based mode. And if you choose the offering, so the offering form will be rendered to the end user, and the end user can fill in the form just like they did with the previous version of the service portal. I'm not going to save this chain. Are you sure you want to without saving? Yeah. Let me switch back to the deck. Yeah, in my screenshot here is this is I linked one of the the catalog offering to my this intent request a new PC. So so basically in the chatting time, if the end user said how can I apply new laptop, so the watch engine will suggest this intent to the end user, and if the end user choose this confirm this intent, so the offering form to the end user. One thing I want to mention here is in conversation mode, okay, restart. So I repeat my word here is with the conversation mode, we cannot handle the the complex dependency between the yield options. Like you choose the value A in the option 1, and you have a different follow-up yield options. And if you choose a value B in the option 1, and you have another set of the follow-up yield options, we cannot handle this kind of a complex dependencies between the yield options. in current version or current release of the virtual engine. So if you want to render that kind of complex, user options within the offering, you need to choose the form-based mode. Okay. So after this, after you configured all of the things for the intent, you can choose to click this chain button to chain the virtual agent. So I listed several things for the chaining functionality here. Is first of all, any changes you did for the any intent, you need to click chain to make it take effect. And we currently don't support the automatically chaining here. You need to manually to chain it into the into the virtual agent. And the second thing is you need to have at least 2 intents. And with these 2, I mean the 2 active intents. This is what I mean with the third sentence here. Because we have a status for each intent. Let's say we have a checkbox here. Basically, if you clear these tips, so clicks, so you temporarily disable this intent, and only you chain this change into the virtual agent, so you can really disable this intent from the end user. So basically, combine these 2 two items. You need to have at least 2 active intents here. Otherwise, the chain will not work here. And next, I will to talk a little bit about the automatic learning. We have a button or functionality here. Is automatic learning. So let me switch back to the deck. So with this automatic learning, so currently we can automatically generate intents based on the request records and the catalog offering. Basically, we will learn the most popular offering, and we will convert this kind of popular offerings to intents, and we will automatically generate the chaining sentence based on the the descriptions in the request. And this kind of intents, I mean the automatically generated intents, will only have the form-based mode. We cannot generate it as a conversation mode now. And this kind of intents is inactive, and that means the administrator need to first to review them and did some fine tune them and enable and chain them into the system. And last, we have the export and import functionality or utilities here to allow the administrator to export all of the things in one intent and import them to another intent. I'm not going to demo this kind of things because we are running out of time, and but I think this is follow the standard process within the SMAX, so it's easy to understand, be understood. So I want to mention here is for the export and import. So all of the things, including the intents, user option, and the other basic configurations, could be exported as a JSON file. And one of the current limitation here is we see the offering ID is a very important configure item in the action script. So if you move or export the intent from the tenant 1 and export it to the tenant 2, you need to manually to update the the corresponding offering IDs with the the right ID in the target or the second tenant. And we have enhanced this part in August release to automatically to update this kind of offering ID. And I think the last thing I want to mention is the language support. So with the main release, we announced we can support the English, German, and French. And basically, actually, we are still testing other languages. Basically, this kind of languages can be separate or tokenized by the white space. So we hope we can continue to move to extend the virtual engine to other languages, and we will to update our document to show our progress here. But with the support multiple languages, we still have a limitation here. That means you can only define the intents and the options for one specific language in one tenant. That means you cannot make the virtual engine to speak two or multiple languages in one tenant. This is a current limitation. Well, this is not a relevant page.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alan. Very interesting presentation. So we had a number of questions we answered in the question manager. Just one we may need your help on. Can we manage date option type? So when you create the different user options and the different type of answers, you had there yes, exactly. Can you have dates in there?
Right. Yeah. Basically, First of all, this is a very important question. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. And but the answer here is with the main release, we only can support the how to say, this is a drop down list or list type of the option, and I have to say, let's take this as an example. And the sysany, basically it's a plain text message, and also we can support the Boolean, I mean the true, false. Basically, this is the three types of options we now support. And with the list, I mean, let's say the content master, we cannot support the multiple choice. Let's say if you want to choose both email and the telephone, we cannot support this. We only support the single choice.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Since we are at the top of the hour and I don't see any other questions here, we're probably going to wrap up here. Alan, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
See you.